chapter 26. Isaiah 26. And we're going to read verse 3. And as you guys get there, I always like to provide a little bit of context because you never want to just read the Bible and be like, yep, I believe I know what it's going to say, right? So Isaiah was a prophet back in the day in the Old Testament, right? He prophesied during a very specific time. Hey, can I just sit right over here? Sorry, girl. He prophesied during a very specific time in Israel's history, right? These guys were about to get put on timeout. Essentially, they were getting sent to be exiled, which means to go and be captured by a whole different country called Babylon, right? And so at this time, they got captured and they're under the rule of Babylon. And God is coming and saying, yo, I'm still with you. Even though this is a judgment from me, I am still with you. And everybody that mocked you, everybody that caused harm to you, I will make sure that they are repaid, right? And so right now in Isaiah 26, this is the people giving a praise to God, being like, yo, you're dope. We appreciate you. And so this verse, we're going to read verse 3, and it's a very familiar verse. Very familiar verse. And it reads, you will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast. Steadfast just means to be focused, right? Because they trust in you. And so that leads me to the title of today's message, which is something that we've all said at one point. What are you looking at? What are you looking at? You see, I said it already, and some of y'all already ready to fight. It's used at times as a rhetorical question, meaning, who do you think you're talking to? Right? What are you looking at? Let me tell y'all, so I have a niece, right? Newborn niece. She's about 5-6 months old, right? This girl, she'll go up to my wife and all of our little, my sisters-in-law and all that, and she'll be, hee. This girl sees me, she goes, hey. And I'm like, what you looking at? I would fight, baby. This is on camera. This is on camera. Look at your face. Okay, let me clean that up. I will fight that baby. All right, that is my name. She thinks that just because she's 6 months old, she can look at me like that. I'm just saying. But you see, a lot of times we use that as kind of trying to start something. Other times we use it, if you see y'all ever seen a cloud, been with a friend, looking at a cloud? And they'd be like, what you see? You'd be like, bro, I see a bunny riding like a horse. You'd be like, what you see? Like, bro, I see Medusa. You'd be like, bro, what cloud you looking at? What you looking at? Right? This question is something that is used to understand what your focus is. My niece should not be focusing on me in that moment, especially with a crusty look. But I'm gonna get forgiveness. I'm gonna get healing and forgiveness, all right? At other times, we invite people to say, hey, what are you focusing on? What are you looking at? Right? And so, in our lives, God invites us to simply ask us, what are you focused on? What are you looking at? Right? There are things that we look at that we have no business looking at. And it's not just the physical things that we pay attention to. Sometimes it's attitudes and behaviors that we see people doing. We focus so much on that. And God's like, check yourself. Check yourself. And so that goes to my first point. It's simply, what you are looking at is what you're focused on. Now, I know what you're thinking. Pastor John, that's the dumbest point you ever made, bro. That makes complete sense. How can I not focus on something I'm looking at? Right? But I want you to understand the depth of it. To focus on something means that it has your complete undivided attention. The only way that you learn and you grow is because you focus on something, right? Some people learn to do certain skills like cook by watching their parents cook, right? Some people learn, most of you guys are in positions where you learn how to do certain subjects by watching how your teacher does it first, right? When you focus on something, it has your attention. And what has your attention has the capacity to change you. You see, we are in an age of time where there's so many different things that come at us at once, right? You guys are filled with so much information, as I like to call it, right? And it's like, I don't know if you guys felt like this, but I've been scrolling through social media sometimes. I'm like, fam, who's telling the truth? Is anyone telling the truth? Is everybody lost? Is everybody, what's going on? It makes me feel overwhelmed. Because I'm focusing on a bunch of different things. All these things have my attention. Next thing I know, 3 hours have passed and I feel horrible. All because I let my attention, my focus be shifted to something that wasn't giving me life. And let me tell you guys the dangers of it. So, what has your attention has your focus, right? You can go to the next slide. What has your attention has your focus, right? When you're focused on something, it has your attention, right? That's the first step. Why is that dangerous? Because what has your focus has your mind, right? Your mind, the things that go up here, the crazy thoughts that come up. Y'all ever be just going through your day and you be having crazy thoughts like, Hannah? It's just crazy things that come up, and sometimes they come up because we saw something that had our attention for a split second that the enemy or sometimes just us just bring up. So what has your focus has your mind. What has your mind has your thoughts. These right here are the things that we struggle with. Some of us struggle with thoughts of self-doubt, thoughts of self-hate, right? That all comes from something that we had our attention on. Sometimes that's other people. I grew up, I was bullied a lot as a kid. I was bullied so much. I was called all kinds of crazy names, right? I used to get bullied for my ears. People used to call me Dumbo. I had a small head, big ears, right? And don't laugh at that. But it's like, why? It affected me as a kid. I never had friends. I was always the new kid. I was always the kid with ripped up clothes and things like that before it was cool. Y'all got ripped up clothes in school? I'm high-key salty at that. I'm not even going to lie to you. I'm like, y'all know how many people fought me because of that? Like, it's like, I was so hurt, all because of what people said. And what happened is third, fourth, fifth grade, Jordan, all those thoughts, all those things that people said had my attention. And so 25-year-old Jordan is battling those. 27-year-old Jordan is battling those. I got a wife and a whole job. And I still battle thoughts that I had back when I was like 7 years old. Because it had my attention. And now, because I focus on that, it has my thoughts. Now, what has your thoughts? That directly affects your behavior. Your behavior are the things that you do. Right? So, if I were to go and do some push-ups, the behavior is, I want to do some push-ups. Right? The behavior that I had on myself at those times was like, bro, I'm going to start saying stuff to myself that's not true. I'm going to start saying how worthless I am. I'm going to start saying how much I hate myself. I'm going to stop putting myself in positions that's going to get me help. I'm not going to talk to people about it. I'm going to suffer alone. I'm not going to go and reach out to family, friends, church people. I'm going to do this by myself because they don't care anyway. All because my attention was somewhere else. Now, your behavior affects your character. Your character is the pieces that make up who you are, right? A lot of you guys have a wonderful character. You're giving, you're kind, you're nice, you're loving. All these different things are your character. But what your attention was on can affect who you are because we start to define our character. What we looked at before can tell us, hey, because you look like you do, this is going to happen to you. This is your destiny. Because your family's the way that they are, this is your destiny, right? And you start to live that because your focus is on something that never was supposed to be for you. It's never meant to have your attention. And your character affects who you are. This is who you are. A lot of people are living in lives that are messed up, where they are saying things and doing things to people. And it's like, this is who they are. Why? Because it started with what they were looking at. Sometimes it's hard because it feels like what's coming at us is in front of us and we can't avoid it. So what do we do? What do we do? God tells us the first thing that we got to do is we got to change our attention. Right? What we were looking at before that led us down this path, I got to look at something different. Right? And so I'm not trying to make this all about me. I really am not. But let's take it back to what I was going through and what I work on a daily basis. Right? I had to stop looking at those moments and those things that kids said and look at the comments. God directs my attention to him. And then he teaches me what those kids were going through. It's like these kids didn't have the best home life. These kids had horrible self-esteem. And when I see that, I'm like, man, I love. I care. I have empathy and compassion. Maybe it's like that for you. It's that one kid that just starts cussing folks out. They sit by themselves. It's like, why is this kid so weird? Don't direct your attention to the behavior. Direct your attention to God. And you'll see something that you never saw. And you'll be able to love in a way that you never were able to love. Make sense? And so this gets me to my second point. Right? What you look at, God has a promise for what you look at. God has a promise when we focus on Him. Right? God is saying, if you direct your attention to me, I got a promise for that. God is a God of promises. Everything that He tells you is a promise. Right? For some people, that's a promise of good. Right? Like, I'm gonna make you big and everybody's gonna see it. Right? It can also be promise of bad. Like, yo, you don't study for your test, you finna fail. Don't pray to me, because I told you finna fail. You know? But it's like, God has a promise for every single thing He says, and He has it for each and every one of your lives. And so we can trust that. Right? So let's go back to our verse in Isaiah, our voice in Isaiah. It says, you, let's stop right there. You. Understand, this song right here that Isaiah is talking about, that he is singing, is directed for the family of the Israelites, for the family of believers, that's us. Right? You see, the first step to get this promise from God, or any promise from God, is we have to know God. When we give our lives to God and we know that Jesus Christ died on the cross, rose from the grave, we don't just get eternal salvation, we get the goodie bag of everything that He has for us on this side of eternity. We don't talk about that enough as Christians. We talk about the end goal, and yes, that's amazing. But God said, I got something for you right now. Because some of us are tired of fake Christianity. Some of us like, I need Jesus right now. Yes, I'm going to heaven, but I'm hurting right now. Yes, I'm going to heaven, but my family broke up right now. Yes, I'm going to heaven, but I ain't got no friends right now. I ain't got no peace right now. God said all of His promises are for you if you accept Him, right? Same with this one. That's why it's focused on you. Next, you will. Ain't no probably. Ooh, there ain't no probably. You see, God said, if you do this, this will happen. Cause and effect. Right? If you do the following, you will keep in perfect peace. Who wants to be in peace? I know I want some peace. I look outside and I'm like, Lord, I need some peace. I go to Sam's Club and I'm like, Lord, I need some peace. You know? I need peace in everything that I do. Now, a lot of us mix up what peace is. Right? A lot of us think that peace is an absence of conflict, right? If mom and daddy aren't fighting, that means there's peace, right? If Hannah ain't bringing folks to the parking lot, there's peace. You know? Peace is not an absence. I'm sorry I'm picking up you so much, Hannah. You know I love you, girl. No. You know, peace is not an absence of conflict. No, that's called calm. Calm is an absence of conflict. Some of us got craziness in our minds, and we're like, I want peace. No, you want it to be calm. Peace is the ability to withstand conflict, right? Peace is the ability to not lose your mind when you're going through it. Peace is the ability to have everybody in your classroom cussing out teachers, throwing chairs, talking crazy to each other, and you're able to maintain your character despite all that. That's peace. And that's what we need in this time. I'm not going to sit up here and be one of those pastors that tell you, yeah, everything's going to get so much better. Let's just pray. God's saying the world's going to do what the world's going to do. It's going to do it. Now, it doesn't mean that we don't go out there and be the hands and feet of Jesus. And we try to make the biggest difference that we can. But Jesus is saying, don't look for the world to change, you change. The world changes when you do, and it starts with peace that He will give you. Guaranteed, right? Let's keep going. It says, you will keep in perfect peace those whose minds. Why doesn't He say eyes? Why doesn't He say eyes? You see, we use these and we see a bunch of things. I look out, I see a whole bunch of wonderful, beautiful people. I see my little diffuser in the back. I see a clock, right? I can see them, but I'm not focused on it. It takes my mind to focus, right? God's going to that second step. What has your attention has your mind. Right? That's what God's focused on. He's like, no. Because if I can stop you there, you can direct your attention to me. Right? So your mind needs to be focused on God, right? Whose minds are steadfast. Like I said, steadfast just means focused. Because, someone say because. I got one person.
Because.
Thank you. I got 15 people in this room. I got 2. Thank you. Thank you. Because they trust in you. We talked about what faith was, right? Confidence in what we hope for. Assurance of what we can't see. You see, that basically comes down to trust. I trust God enough to keep me in peace, even though my whole world is crazy. I trust God enough to keep me in peace, even when everything that I look at is just going downhill. That trust will get you through. Sometimes we don't look at God because we don't trust that God will do what he said. And that's crazy. This is a God who is all-powerful, all-knowing. And he said, bro, all you got to do is think of me. And maybe some of y'all are like, I try that. I try to think about God. I'm like, I see folks going crazy. I try to pray, but then someone says something. Sandra got something to say. And then it just throws me off, right? I don't know who Sandra is in your life, but forgive her. She don't know what she's doing. But God is saying, focus on me like y'all focus on your phone, right? Let me keep it above. If I got my phone, I'm guilty of this. Oh, no, you know what's better? Y'all have been on a game, and your parents trying to talk to you? You trying to game out, doing your thing, and your mama calling you, hey, Jordan, and you so locked in that you literally didn't hear it, and you just going. They call you 3 times, and they're like, you just don't hear it. And they come down, they start yelling at you. My parents used to. Y'all parents ever unplug the game station while you was playing it? You see?
That's what you do.
Y'all parents loved you like that? Oh, my parents did that, bro.
When you talking, they take the phone.
Okay, same thing though, right?
Or
they take the phone.
When you're running up the stairs. Or they pause the TV.
And it's always your crush. It's always your crush who you texting. Your parents, boom.
Hello?
She's like, why ain't you talking to me? You just gonna ghost me. I'm like, my mama took my phone away. Right. Then why no, I'm just kidding. But you see, sometimes we can be so focused. I have no idea where I was going with that news. I'm not even gonna lie to you. But we can be so focused on something that nothing can sway us. And that's the focus that God wants us to have. Right? That we're so focused that no matter what's going on over here, it can't stop us. Let me end it with a story. There was a man back in the Bible, his name was Elijah, right? Now, Elijah was one of the coldest prophets. Sorry, my phone is asking if I'm okay.
Oh, are you?
That's a loaded question. Anyway, there was a man named Elijah who was a prophet back in the Bible, right? This man was one of the coldest prophets in the whole Bible, right? This man, through what God did through him, rained fire down from heaven. This man stopped rain coming to the earth for 7 years. This man fed a widow and her daughter with nothing but a little bit of grain and some oil. And then when that same son died, brought him back to life. Elijah was one of the dopest prophets in the Bible. But Elijah got scared. Elijah was threatened by this evil queen named Jezebel, who said before the sun goes down, Elijah the prophet will be dead. Right? And this man got scared. I don't understand how you rain fire down from heaven and be scared of a threat. That's just me. But he got scared. And just like all of us, we know what our God can do, and yet still we get scared. And so he ran. He ran to this mountain, terrified, shaking, hoping that Jezebel ain't coming through. And God tells you, hey, I need you to listen to me. He tells him to go out into the mountain. All of a sudden, there's a huge fire that comes. The Bible said God was not in the fire. There was a huge earthquake. It says God was not in the earthquake. There was wind so strong that it ripped mountains apart. It said God was not in the wind. But then there was a small, still voice that spoke to Elijah. That's what God was in. There was all these distractions around Elijah to try to sway him away from what God really wanted to show him. And that was that still small voice. There's a still small voice for you that's promising you the peace that you need to get through this season of life. And all God says is, will you listen to me? Stop looking at the fires. Stop looking at the earthquakes. Stop looking at the winds of your life. Focus on God, and he will lead you to that perfect peace. Amen? All right, go ahead and stand on your feet real quick. All right.